Hi. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. A very good morning to everyone. First of all, thank you for being here. What I expected to be a different kind of comeback for me. It turns out something very different. I thought that we would be talking to each other face to face now, but apparently we're still in this situation. So it's good to be back after quite a long leave. Today is first part of this lesson is going to be me giving feedback of your midterm exam, and then after that I'm going to do on what you're supposed to do for today's task. Okay, so I see that I'm still waiting for the viewers here. So if you could just click on the YouTube link, and then throughout the session, if you have any questions, I think that you can write that on the comment section on YouTube. Okay? Right. So I'm still waiting. Still. All right. So let's give it a few minutes. Right. So thank you for those already here. So I'm going to start today's lesson with a little bit feedback on your midterm exam. First of all, I would like to say that the questions are designed based on the current SPM 2021 format. But I did a little bit of tweaking so that it's not going to be overburdening to you, as you haven't been on a proper lesson for quite some time. Okay, so what you did was almost like an SPM 2021 question for reading and writing questions, right? So for this, I will share with you the marks that you have received. Okay, I'll try to enlarge them. Okay. Mind you, this is going to be this is final because I've already keyed those in on ISIS. Okay, so if you can see the marks there. Okay, I'll just read out for you. Adam Muklish is 76, Alia Zainul is 85, Arif Zakwan is 96, Bakis Nabila is 83, Danish Farhan is 82, Hafizul Malik is 78, Muhammad Sharil is 79, Muhammad Adib Hakim 90, Ayman Solihin 85, Akif Shakir 82, Hakimi Ruslan 82, Muna Nabihah 87, Alia Maisara 80, Akila Nazifa 80, Ifah Fakihah 73, Irdina 80, Shazwina 84, Shahinda 88, Renita 80, Serena is 93, Shafiq Aiman is also 93, Siti Khadijah 89, and Tashil is 93. Okay, so from what I can see from your marks there, I can see that most of you managed to get at least an A minus, which is good. I'm not exactly surprised because the questions are not that difficult for you. Okay, but I would like to remind you that the question won't be as easy as what you have experienced in your midterm, because again, with LPM's question, it's going to be very well designed, and you wouldn't have some sort of an easy paper 1 or easy paper 2. It's going to be a mixture of difficulty later. Okay, so those are your marks. And then I'm going to move on. Let me just say that I'm not going to delve deeper on paper 1, because paper 1 is it's objective, so there's nothing much that you can discuss about it until that we can see each other. So I think it's wise for me to just talk about a little bit of feedback on paper 2. Okay, let me share your paper 2. Okay, so just like what you have experienced in your midterm, for your paper 2, okay, you have 3 parts of the questions. Okay, part 1, I think most of you did well, because again, this is something that you have done since when you were in Form 1, I think. Short message. Okay, so this should be in the bag for you already. So most of you managed to get 20 or 19 or 18 for this part. Okay, but for part 1, you just have to be careful because although it's something very familiar to you, the questions could be tricky and it could cause you to be confused, and again, it might affect your mark. Okay, so if you can see that in question 1, it's mentioned that you received an email from your new friend Amy, who has just moved to your hometown. Okay, so you have a friend named Amy who has just moved to your hometown. Okay, so hi, the school holiday is finally here. Let's go for a picnic with our friends. Where shall we go and what can we do there? What should we bring? I'll be waiting for your reply. Okay, I'm glad that all of you for these questions focus on the activity of picnic itself. Okay, so because I was told that from other classes, they even try to do something different from picnic. They want to try something different of activities. But although that is part of being creative, you need to be able to look through the question to see the questions for it is. So the question wanted you to talk about a picnic. So when you're talking about a picnic, you have to focus on the thing that constitutes a picnic. A picnic can be done at the beach or at the park, but you cannot do a picnic at a theme park or amusement park. So it's to be very logical, and you can talk about picnic in the most logical sense. I think you can get a free content point for 5 marks. After you're talking about picnic, and then it's mentioned 3 questions there. Where shall we go? What can we do there? And what should we bring? Okay, where shall we go? Again, like I mentioned previously, it could be a beach or it could be a park. Something very logical when it comes to picnic. Okay. What can we do there? Again, you're talking about activities there, and what should we bring? Okay, so if you're able to fulfill all these 3 questions, you will get a full 5 marks already for content. Okay, so for your communicative awareness, your language, and also your organization, it all comes down to your use of language. Okay, so if you manage to sound very casual as if you're writing to a friend, and it doesn't sound mechanical, it doesn't sound what we call forced, I think you managed to get all for the 3 sections CA, O, and language as 5. Okay, so I'm not going to go deeper in this one because again, this is something that you have done in your Form 1, and I didn't see much of a issue when I was marking your paper for part 1, paper 2. Okay, for those who finally joining us, you can post questions at the comment section so that I can address them after I finish my feedback for your midterm. Okay, next one is for part 2. Okay, you must answer this question. Write your answer in 125 to 150 words in an appropriate style. Okay, so they have mentioned about being appropriate style. Okay, appropriate style. Okay, what does appropriate style mean? What do you think appropriate style means? Okay, so it depends on the question. Okay, in this question, it's stated that your class has been discussing how they spend their money, and your teacher has asked you to write an essay about what you would spend your money on. Okay, so when you're reading this type of question, you need to be able to use your knowledge, okay, on answering the prompts that's given there. Okay, what would you like to buy? Reasons for your choice, and where do you usually buy these things? Okay, so when you're writing this type of essay, you're expected to write in a manner that it's semi-factual, okay, because they are talking about yourself, but at the same time you're talking about money. So semi-factual here means that they would expect certain vocabulary or structures to be available in your writing. Okay, for example, if you're talking about money, so they would expect adjectives that are related to money. For example, spendthrift or thrifty or stingy or generous. Okay, so they would want to see that kind of vocabulary when you're writing about money. Also, when you are writing for this kind of question, you need to be able to sound semi-formal, because you're telling people, and this is not a fact, you're telling based on your personal expenditure. So you need to be able to be formal, but not that formal. It's a semi-formal. So when we talk about semi-formal, you can use contraction. You know what contraction means, right? Like can't, won't, shan't, or shouldn't. Okay, it is possible, but you have to be balanced. So you cannot sound too casual. You cannot sound too formal for this type of essay. Okay, right. So for part 2, that's about it. But then when I mark for part 2, I will be a lot stricter compared to part 1. So for part 1, for that short message that you did, you're only expected to reach until level high A2. High A2 is not that high. It's like when you were in Form 1 and Form 2. So it's easier for me to give marks for part 1, but for part 2, I have to be a bit more strict, because the level that you're expected to reach for part 2 is high B1. Okay, high B1 is like when you were in Form 3. Okay, so normally I don't have problem in giving full marks for your content, but I would have problem with your language or your organization. Sometimes your communicative awareness. Okay, so to be better in those sections, you need to be able to fulfill the task in such a manner that is expected of the task. Meaning, if it's semi-formal, show that it's semi-formal. If it's talking about money, you need to use appropriate adjectives that normally we use for talking about money. Okay, that's a rule of thumb when we are answering part 2. Right. After that, you have part 3. Okay, part 3 is where I mark your work the strictest. Okay, so this is the strictest part of the essay, part of the question that I will mark. I will not relax my marking. Okay, so this is the highest level that you're expected to achieve. You have to write 220 until 250 words, and for this one you are expected to reach up until level C2. Okay, C2 is quite high, it's very high. So like I said, if I was strict in part 2, I will be even more stricter in part 3. Okay, so for part 3, you are given choices. Okay, you have question 3, 4, and 5. Okay, um, although there hasn't been any clear guideline from LPM just yet on how are you going to tackle students if they're answering more than one question for part 3, because I know some of you are very good in English, and then you think that you might improve your chances better if you write more than one essay for part 3. But as an experience, not really experience, as a teacher for quite a few years, I think that it's better for you to stick to the needs of the question. Okay, the question wants you to choose only one. Okay, and if you write two, perhaps out of, I don't know, confidence, overconfidence, or out of lack of confidence because you're not really sure of your first essay or something like that, I'm afraid that they will use that against you to penalize you. Okay, on the grounds that you are not exactly understanding the question. Okay, so my advice to you is that next time when you're answering part 3, please just write one essay. Do not write more than one. Okay, um, right. So when I mark your work for part 3, most of you answered question 5, I think, story. It's expected because story is the easiest compared to the others. But when I did my item analysis, most of you who answered question 4 managed to get quite high marks, because question 4 is about reviews. Okay, movie reviews, they don't need much from you. If you look at your textbook, review that we write review last year, I think, in Form 4 in your full blast textbook. Previews didn't require much of you. You just have to talk about the plot a little bit. You don't have to be so long-winded about the plot. And then you talk about some character work and a little bit of recommendation, and then how you feel about the movie. Okay, so most of you managed to get quite good marks on review. Okay, so those of you who were writing review, congratulations, you picked the right one. Okay, some of you even managed to make me feel interested in watching one of those movies that you wrote about. Okay, as for the most popular choice, question 5, I've seen both ways. Some of you did really well. Some of you didn't, because again, question 5 is a story. When you are writing a story, it's always going to be past tense, and if you're not really skillful or well versed with the use of past tense, it's going to be very difficult for you to write a very good story lah. Okay, so again, there has been misunderstanding of the question. The question said a dream comes true. Okay, some of you talk about a dream as in literal dream that you experience when you sleep. When in actual fact, the question wants you to talk about your ambition or your goal in life that becomes true. Okay, so a description of dream. When you're talking about a dream, so we need to see a description of what you want to be, or what ambition that you want to achieve, and how do you plan that the dream is achieved. So if you look at the prompt carefully, you would not talk about how dreaming is achieved, because again, when you dream in sleep, you don't really need to do anything. It's just naturally to you. But an ambition, you have to work for it. So that's how you answer how the dream is achieved. So be very careful when you are answering question, and then you have to look at the prompts. You don't straight away jump into conclusion of what you think the question wants you to do. Okay, you need to read the question carefully so that you know what they actually want. Only a few of you answered articles, also managed to get quite good marks, because it's the easiest way to do, because articles are basic. This article expect you to complain lah about your school canteen, and complaining is the easiest thing to do these days. Okay, so as long as you answer those 3 prompts, and then the article, the format you could find in your full blast, the actual format that you are expected to write about. But most of you managed to get it right lah, who answered this question. Okay, I hope you are writing questions on the YouTube comment so that I can address the question? No, no one, no question so far. Okay, I give you a few minutes, 2 minutes to write any questions that you have for your midterm, and then I will proceed with your lesson for today. Okay, 2 minutes for you to write any question that you have. I give you 2 minutes. I'm sorry, I just unmute the mic. I didn't notice that. Okay. So like I mentioned just now, okay, so you are going to write about a strong introduction for today. Okay, so when you want to write a strong introduction, you need to be able to answer, you need to be able to look at the questions first. Okay, so in this example, the question is, One reason why zoos keep animals in cages is to study them and protect them for the future. Okay, so where do you think the topic for this one? Okay, is this a good way or a bad way to help animals? Okay, so what topic this essay would be based on the questions that we have there. One reason why zoos keep animals in cages is to study them and protect them from the future. Is this a good way or a bad way to help animals? Okay, what do you think the topic is based on the question there? Okay, if you can just write the questions, the topic on the YouTube section so that I can know if you're on the right track, that would be great. Okay, just type away the topic that you think is expected in the question there. Okay, I give you 1 minute for that. Okay, write the topic on the YouTube comment section. Okay, what do you think the topic should be for the question there? Anybody? What do you think the topic would be? Okay, I give you another 1 minute. 1 minute to figure out the topic based on the questions. Okay, most of you answered advantages or disadvantages of keeping animals in a cage. Okay, yeah, that could be a topic for that one because of the word good way. Is it a good way or a bad way to help animals? Okay, you're getting the gist right there. Good job. Okay, so you're talking about whether it's good or not keeping animals in cage. Okay, right. Okay, are zoos a good or bad thing? That is acceptable too because again, zoos put animals in cage. Okay, but then you have to mention that when you write about zoos, you have to very clear that the approach of using cages in zoos, right? Advantages and disadvantages of zoos. That one is a bit far-fetched, Serena. Yeah, because that's not exactly focusing on animals in cage. Okay. All right. Thank you for your response. Okay, so that's how you identify the topic of the question. Okay. So after you have identified the topic, let's look at the introductions that is provided for you. Okay. There are 3 introductions. A, animals need protecting, but in my opinion, zoos shouldn't keep animals in cages to study them and protect them for the future. It's not a good way to help them. Okay. For B, zoo knows that many types of wildlife are in danger. If they can find ways of saving these animals by studying some of them, then I think they are doing something very good for nature. And last one, C, while animals are in increasing danger in the modern world, I think we should do all we can to increase our knowledge of nature and protect it. Okay, now you have read all the 3 introductions there. Which introduction for number 1? You need to choose whether A, B, or C. Wrongly uses informal language such as contractions if they are, for example, they are instead of they are. Okay, which introduction that uses informal language wrongly. Which one? Write on the comment section if you must. Okay, so which introduction wrongly uses informal language? A, B, or C? This one is quite clear, I think. A, B, or C? Good. Okay, most of you answered it right. Answer is A. Okay. Number 2, copies too many words from the task. The introduction copies too many words from the task, meaning that they're almost like copying the question. Which one? A, B, or C? For number 2, who copies too many words from the task? A, B, or C? Very good. Okay, the answer is also A. Okay, they basically copy not everything, like 80% of the questions to their introduction. To write a good introduction, you shouldn't do that. You cannot copy that much from a question. Okay, number 3, does not introduce the topic. So you identify the topic just now as advantages or disadvantages of putting animals in cage. Which A, B, and C introduction that did not introduce this topic that you have identified just now, that has nothing to do with putting animals in cages and their good or bad way of doing that? Which A, B, or C that's doing that? That does not introduce the topic. Okay, which one? Okay, let's see the answers for number 3. The answer is C. Okay, because C does not talk about good or bad way to have animals when you're putting them in cages. Okay, C is talking about wild animals are in increasing danger in the modern world. I think we should do all we can to increase our knowledge of nature to protect it. It doesn't have anything to do with cages. It doesn't have anything to do with putting animals in cages. So C is way off track. Number 4, does not give an opinion on the questions of the task. Does not give an opinion on the question in the task. All of them have opinions. If you can see, they use the word I think, but there's one that did not use did not give any opinion. Okay, which paragraph, A, B, or C? Okay, the answer is C. There's no opinion because C is talking about different thing already, so the opinion does not matter. And number 5, correctly introduces the essay task is B. Okay, so B is the best way of introducing the questions that is posted there. Okay, you have been talking about the environment in class. Now your English teacher has asked you to write an essay for homework. Okay, write your essay using all the notes and giving reasons for point of view. Okay, so you need to read these 2 alternative opening paragraphs for the essay that was written, because number 2 is the task to the question. To decide in class which one successfully introduces the topic and writer's opinion, then tick the correct box. Okay, I give you time to read paragraph A and B. So you're going to choose either paragraph A or B that is better to introduce the topic in number 2. Okay, Choose A or B. How about 2 minutes for this one? A or B? Okay, very good. Okay, the answer is B. Okay, B is the best way of introducing the topic of the best introduction between A and B. Okay, because why? They specifically talk about banning plastic bags. A is A might look like it's good, but it does not specify what they're talking about. It's just talking about plastic and not going straight to the point. B, however, is talking straight away about banning them in shops because the topic for number 2 is plastic bags good or bad for shoppers? Okay, good. All right, now let's try number 4. Now read the rest of the essay and answer the questions below it. Okay, first of all, a huge proportion of our rubbish is made of plastic, which does not decompose like paper and other waste products. Plastic takes years to disappear from the land. In addition, many of the world's oceans and rivers are polluted by millions of plastic bags, which are a danger to fish and other animals. Ducks and birds can get trapped in them and die, for instance, and fish get slowly poisoned if they eat them. Moreover, there is no need for plastic bags in shops. People can easily get used to taking their own shopping bags with them when they go out. All in all, I think more and more countries should stop shops using dangerous and unnecessary plastic bags. The world would be a much better place without them. Okay, let's look at number 1. Underline the main point of the writer makes about notes 1 and 2. Okay, note 1 and 2 is about plastic rubbish and pollution. Okay. Where is the main point for plastic rubbish and water pollution? Which paragraph? They are in paragraph. The next paragraph 1 and paragraph 2. Okay, that's because they are actually a continuation. So they are actually in paragraph 2 and 3. Okay, so underline the main point of the writer makes as a third idea. Okay, the third idea is their own idea. Okay, so they found plastic rubbish and water pollution. So what's their idea? If you can see the idea paragraph, if you counted the previous one. Okay, the own idea. So the own idea is there is no need for plastic bags in shops. Okay, so that is their own idea. So people can easily get used to taking their own shopping bags with them when they go out. And last one, in which paragraph does the writer use examples to show one of the points? Okay, so the use of word for instance there in paragraph 2. Okay, I think that's all for my input for today before I leave you off to do the task for today, and I've already assigned those tasks on your Google Classroom. Any questions before I leave you to your task. Okay, any questions? No? All right, so if you could find the task on your Google Classroom, okay, if you could find the task is in here. Okay, wait, let me share. Okay, the task is here. Okay, it's already assigned on your Google Classroom. Again, you have to submit your right. There are two tasks. One is Google Form. Another one is writing opinion. Okay, the Google Form is actually a listening task, a very short listening task. Because I don't think I need to teach listening. Right. So the task is listening, and then the second one is writing opinion. Again, you have to submit your work on Google Docs lah, like we did, like we always did previously. Okay, I think that's all for today. Please straight away do your task, and then I would expect your write up to be done at least by the end of today. Meaning that if I open your Google Classroom tomorrow, all of you have submitted your work. Okay? All right. I think that's all for today, class. Thank you and good luck with your task.